Steve Blank. I'm the editor and publisher of Blank Slate Media, and I'd like to welcome everyone to our sit down with Town of North Hempstead Council member Peter Zuckerman, who is running for re-election on the Democratic line in District 2 against Edward Scott, who is running on the Republican and conservative lines. The district, like all of the town districts, is newly drawn, and it has a number of differences from the old district. It is now, and we use maps, Peter, so correct us if I looked and got it wrong, but you have all or parts of Roslyn Harbor, East Hills, Roslyn Heights, Albertson, Searingtown, East Williston, North Hills, and Mineola.
So for the most part, you're correct.
Okay, what have I got wrong?
So prior to the redistricting, I had East Williston in my district. I no longer have East Williston in my district.
Okay.
I have North Hills now, and I have part of Mineola.
Okay. All right.
And I also have Glenwood Landing.
Oh, you are
in my district.
Okay.
And I have Greenvale. And I have Greenvale as
well. Okay. The map is a little tricky to follow when you go online.
And I still, I don't have Herrick. I used to have Herrick's.
Right.
And I don't anymore, but I have Searingtown.
Right.
I still have.
Okay. All right. Well, close, but I'm glad. Thanks for correcting us. Okay. So why don't we start off with what you consider to be the most important issues to you in terms of personally and in terms of what's before the town council?
Sure. I've been in office since 2014, and I believe fiscal responsibility is of the utmost importance. In conjunction with fiscal responsibility, we must also account for quality of life issues, affordability issues, as well as providing a balance to continue to provide services to our residents in the town of North Hempstead. Since I started in 2014, fiscal responsibility has been very important. In my tenure on the board, we've always stayed under the New York State tax cap. And during my tenure, we've maintained the AAA bond rating. Last year, in the last budget last year, I myself and Veronica Lervy and Marianne Del Monte, we co-sponsored a 5% tax cut in which we added $2 million to roads, $1 million for tree removals and replantings, and $1 million relating to sidewalks. All very, very important. Specifically in my district, during my tenure, we've done some amazing things at Clark Gardens, which is truly, I'm sorry,
Okay.
Steve.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, Clark Gardens, which is truly a jewel of my district. Over the years, we've done some tremendous things. Under my watch, we put in a greenhouse, a beautiful working new greenhouse. We made all the trails in the garden. I know you've been there. We made all the trails in the garden ADA compliant. We put a new roof on the Clark House. Next year, I have a wonderful capital project in store for the Clark House. We're going to be putting all new windows, new siding, new plumbing, fixing all the rooms. We're going to make it beautiful. We're going to put out my intention is to put out the RFP in January, and with a little luck in the springtime, start building. So that's something that I'm very excited about. At Camera Park, we put in an all-new playground. We made the trails ADA compliant. We're working with Assembly Member Stiletti. We're going to be redoing the fields. We've already put in new fencing. I'm very excited about that. At Donald Street Park, and I know you're familiar with that as well, we put in all new basketball hoops and stanchions and pavement. We also put in a playground area, a splash pad, as well as outdoor exercise. materials. So we're very excited about that. Other things that I've been doing, we gave out thousands of COVID tests during the pandemic. I've done multiple Narcan trainings at the Roslyn Community Center, which I know you're a big supporter of as well. We've also done backpack school supply giveaways and coat drives with Temple Sinai, Temple Beth Shalom, and the JCC. So we've done, and we're going to be continuing to do those things. And so we're very excited about that. You know, other things that I've done. Yep, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, continue.
Other things that we've been doing with respect to Project Independence, one of the things that I'm most proud about, in the recent years under my tenure, we were able to extend the benefits to the seniors. We now, for the last several years, we have ride shares in which they could get rides to the scheduled medical appointments, as well as going to the supermarket and other types of rides. So it's very important. And, you know, these are just a few things that I'm very excited about that we've accomplished, you know, over the years under my tenure.
Let me ask you about that, because last year, actually, the town supervisor, Jennifer DeSena, had actually asked for a larger tax cut. So why not? And this year she's asked again for a 10% tax cut. Why did you oppose the higher tax cut last year? And what is your view of the tax cut that was proposed this year?
So I'm really glad that you asked that question, Steve, and I appreciate you did ask it. And I apologize in advance, but I'm just going to correct one little statement that you made. So last year, Supervisor DeSena initially proposed a 2% tax increase. When she got negative comment and negative feedback from the public, she changed that. She initially submitted a budget to us with a 2% tax increase. And after negative commentary, after she had submitted to us, and we were working on the budget, because the Democrats, we were working on the budget to do a tax cut. She then submitted a second budget, a second proposed budget that had the tax decrease. So she did not submit the tax cut initially. She submitted a tax increase. And let me go back to the budget that myself, my fellow Democratic council people, we co-sponsored. We co-sponsored a 5% tax cut. Within that 5% tax cut, we added $2 million for roads, $1 million for sidewalks, and $1 million for tree-related removals and installations. The 10% budget that the 11% budget that you're referring to, and we had done our own budget. So there was some political, whatever you want to call it, jockeying on the supervisor's part with respect to that. Listen, I am 100% in favor of a tax cut, and that's what my intention is for this year. But I want to be totally transparent with you, and you and I have known each other for a long time, and Brandon's been covering our meetings. The supervisor provided the tentative budget for this year, for 2024, Friday at 5 o'clock. I'm still in the process of reviewing it. And, you know, I'm committed to a tax cut, but I need to review more of this budget that was provided to us to see what is going on there. Again, what happened last year, the supervisor submitted us a budget and then changed it. So myself and my fellow council people, we're reviewing this year budget, but I'm concerned that she might submit another budget like she did last year. But that being said, I'm committed to a tax cut, but I need to review this budget further so that I can get into it a little bit. And I'm happy to discuss it further with you or anyone else, but we really just received it. Friday at 5 o'clock is when we received her budget for this year.
Okay, there has been, now this budget comes amid controversy over the resignation, the sudden resignation. It wasn't, here's 2 weeks notice. the comptroller, Kristen Schwainer, quit essentially, on the spot, right when you're getting in. And this was one of two deputies have resigned, so you're short two deputies. And I think the director of purchasing. So now we had a conversation with the town supervisor, and she said she blamed interference by the Democratic majority, I think particularly Veronica Lervy, for making requests to the comptroller regarding a consultant, hiring a consultant. Is it your fault? Is it Veronica Lervy's fault? Whose fault is it?
I have to tell you, I think the supervisor's recollection of the events is inaccurate, and I think the fact that she's indicated an opinion like that is typical of the things that we've been dealing with. But I have to tell you, it is unfortunate that we've lost important and key staff of this kind, and it certainly makes things difficult with respect to the budget process and keeping track of everything relating to the finances. But I have to tell you, I do not appreciate the supervisor making a statement of that nature that I do not believe to be true.
So we've seen conflict since the beginning of when the Jennifer DeSena took over for Judy Bosworth, a Democrat. Jennifer DeSena she says she's still a registered Democrat, but she ran on the Republican and she's running on the conservative line. So who's at fault here? I mean, because it's appeared, the government at times has appeared dysfunctional, and this is one of those cases where there's an accusation here where you're having staff turnover. That when you look at that type of turnover, people's got to look at it and say, hey, what's going on here that they can't keep professionals to provide important information, recommendations to them?
Yeah, I listen, I agree with you. It's unfortunate that we lost key staff members in recent days. And I can tell you that we all, on both sides, certainly appreciate the efforts of the staff members that were here and left. That being said, we must go on and move forward. And we have a government to run, and we can't sit here and delve into what we have and what we don't have, but it's all hands on deck, and we need to move forward. And, all I'll say is, you're talking about the functioning of our government, I'll let my record and the record of my Democratic council people stand on its own, because we believe we've done everything in accordance to make the town of North Hempstead government function appropriately, despite roadblocks from.
Well, if I'm a voter, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, who's at fault here? I mean, who do voters have a decision of who to keep in office and who to get out of offices. And right now, I think probably both sides would agree things are not functioning well. So, but who is causing staff to leave? I mean, this is kind of the basic function of the town is being impacted for whatever reason, for a reason, and it's causing people to leave. So, who is causing this?
Steve, and listen, and I appreciate the question. And all I'll say that, myself and my fellow Democratic counterparts are doing everything we can to make sure that this government functions in an efficient and appropriate manner. And you're talking about key staff leaving and so forth. And, I think it's unfortunate, but we must move forward. And I believe that the fact is, despite the difficulties with the supervisor's office. The Democratic council people have made sure that the town of North Hempstead government is functioning in an appropriate manner.
Now, can you just comment on the relationship with Jennifer DeSanto? I mean, is she somebody that you think that you can work with? She's up for re-election. Is she somebody that, you know, has it reached a point between Democrats and the supervisor where, you know, there's just bad feeling? It's kind of like the U.S. Congress, where you have this constant, you know, argument and not coming together. So what's the relationship? And is she somebody you can work with and, you know, and be comfortable working with?
So, you know, my occupation is an attorney. So I am constantly talking to people, negotiating with people. And it's not a question of whether this person likes me or I like this person and so forth. I have a job to do. And I believe I can work with anyone. It's part of my training as an attorney. And I can work with Jennifer DeSanto. I can work with any of the Republican council people, you know, as well as I can work with any attorney or, you know, anyone else. I'm a professional and I'll work with whoever it is that I am required to work with, because that's my job. And, you know, I have a job to do, you know me, and I'm going to do that job regardless of who I'm working with. I'm going to treat them professionally and act in an appropriate way and move forward for the good of the town of North Hempstead. So regardless of who is sitting in that supervisor chair, I will be working with them for the good of the town of North Hempstead.
So let me ask you about taxes, because a lot of the DeSanto campaign, the mailers that we get, her opponent, who used to be the town supervisor, John Kamen,
yes,
he's being portrayed as a big taxer. That in the 10 years that he was town supervisor, the budget for North Hempstead went up 44%. That sounds like a lot. I guess over 10 years, if you do things under a tax cap, it'll go up some. But what of this idea was before Judy Bosworth? Was the town, what were taxes going up too fast in the town of North Hempstead, or is there a good reason that increases were done?
Okay, well, I started, as you know, I started at the town of North Hempstead when Judy Bosworth started. And during my tenure with Supervisor Bosworth, we always stayed within the tax cap, and we practiced fiscal responsibility and always maintained a surplus, as well as maintaining a AAA bond rating. So I believe in the practice of fiscal responsibility. And as I mentioned to you a few minutes ago, I'm committed to a tax cut, a tax reduction for this year. With respect to administrations that I was not a part of, you know.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, now John Kamen is a Democrat, but yes, he's running, and in the 10 years he was there, the town went up 44%. I'm not sure that's different from other towns during that period. I guess we have to look at that. I guess that's what we're paid to do. And I guess the campaign, but are you comfortable working with John Kamen based on the fact that during his 10 years, the taxes went up 44% in the town?
So I'm comfortable working with John Kamen, and I'm comfortable working with whoever. But I believe that if you look at those numbers that you're talking about, that you're referring to under John Kamen, I think if you delve into a little bit further, I think you'll see that it's not what people are implying, that it relates to other things. But I can tell, and if you compare it to other towns, I think that's an astute point. as well. I think that's a very astute point. But specifically, I'm comfortable working with whomever. But I would take those numbers with a grain of salt, because I believe there's, not everything is so as it seems to be with some of those statements that they're making about John Kamen. And I believe that, that if he was speaking to you, I think he could rebut that fairly well. But
I have that chance next week. We're going to be speaking to him soon.
And I know you'll speak to him and he'll give you the answers that you need. But I can really only speak to my tenure in North Hempstead, and I practice fiscal responsibility, and that's what I'm going to continue to practice.
So let me ask you this: it's kind of related. The building department has been a source of complaints going back to John Kamen through Judy Bosworth. It's been a main issue. It was a main issue when Wayne Wink ran against Jennifer DeSena. Both sides said that there was a need to make changes, but the delays in approval continue. And when Jennifer DeSena came into office, she called for an audit from the county comptroller.
Yes.
After, during the election campaign, there was a lot of discussion of what was wrong. So I guess my question is why, and this is an important issue because homeowners, you pay more money because of the delays. Contractors, it's more expensive. If you're trying to open up a business and you don't get an approval, well, you may be paying rent, you may be paying staff, it costs you money. In other words, it's kind of a tax. It's kind of, North Hempstead has this tax by having a building department that doesn't, in the view of many people, get things done. Plus, you're not spilling storefronts in downtown business districts. That would help other storefronts in business districts and would pay taxes and would have money spent in that community. Why is the building department why has that not been fixed? And why not, you have a surplus of money, why not hire more building inspectors so inspections happen quicker?
Well, listen, I agree with you that the building department is something that needs to continue to be streamlined or modified. We've been at this for a long time, and I can tell you that, improvements have been made with regard to the building department, but not nearly enough. I think we all have to do better as elected officials. I think it's imperative that we do that and we make it better. And I'm open to all solutions with that. I do believe in recent months that the time related to securing permits and things of that and having plans reviewed has improved greatly than what it was a few years ago. And I think that's because of the measures that we have implemented. But that being said, we can always do better. It's imperative that we do better. Our small towns, just like you, I'm a member of the local chambers of commerce, and we need our local businesses. We need our storefronts. We need to have local businesses. We want people to shop local. We want to entice local businesses to open in our towns, and we need to do better. And
let me ask you this, because it would cost money, and people are looking to cut taxes. It would cost money to hire more building inspectors. But there might be some rate of return of having businesses come in, and it would certainly, the people who are looking to come in and open a business, it would be a big lift on the financial burden that some people do. They're paying months of rent in business districts, and they're waiting for a permit. So number one, for those people, it would make a big difference. Plus, when you do have storefronts in, you have more business in that community. So why not hire more building inspectors? I understand streamlining and doing everything else, but if it's still not being done promptly and you do get a return on investment, people pay fees. You pay building permits. Fees are paid in. Why not hire a couple of more inspectors and get it so that things can be handled in a prompt fashion?
Well, I certainly think we need to look into doing that. In addition to doing other things to make the process more user friendly. I mean, I'm open. I have to tell you, I'm open to any solution that makes things better, makes things more streamlined, that makes it more feasible for business owners and homeowners. Whether it's adding more building inspectors or something else, and that's something I believe we're going to look into in the coming months.
Why did it become Wayne Wink, when he ran, a Democrat ran 2 years ago, and he had
Yes.
a whole program, a whole recommendation of what things should be done to improve the building department. And most of those have not been implemented.
Well, Wayne Wink is not the supervisor of the town of North
No,
Hempstead.
I understand. No, but when you're talking about ideas of how to fix things, I know there is Bill Gordon in Port Washington. A resident did a lot of research on this and came up with recommendations of what other towns did.
Yeah, I mean, certainly
Let me ask you this: what do you think that it made sense for the supervisor, when she comes into office after this was part of the main part of the campaign,
right?
and says, well, you need an audit from the county controller, which is yet to be issued.
Yeah, I don't.
You know where that audit is? We don't.
So I don't either. I don't have I've not heard anything from Nassau County relating to it. I think you'd have to get that information from Nassau County. I think all of the town of North Hempstead is yeah, we're all, we all are one and the same in this respect. I can tell you that my office nor hasn't heard anything, nor has anyone from the county communicated with us on a timeline or any specifics relating to it. I know that the county, was doing their work, but I have no idea with respect to a specific timeline or anything like that. But I wish I had more information, but quite honestly, I don't have it. They've not communicated with my office.
Okay. Is there any thought to the idea of the town providing, in the downtown business districts, providing grant money to particular villages for, let's say, parking or other amenities that would enhance them that maybe the village can't afford, or having some providing expertise for villages that maybe don't have the wherewithal to finance a consultant to give recommendation for best practices for upgrading the downtown business district?
Well, I can tell you that specifically, we're always open to helping, discussing, providing recommendations to the villages. I can tell you that with respect to the villages in my district, we have a wonderful working relationship. And if someone in one of those villages has a question or a concern or needs help with something, we're always happy to assist. The town has sort of a rather robust grant program, department, and we certainly direct our villages or anyone else, whether it's a school district or any type of entity, to our grant person who can direct people or entities with respect to grants. I mean, there are grants relating to downtowns, and we are certainly willing to assist our villages and other municipalities or entities in trying to get those grants. I mean, grants are very important. especially in this economy. Look, the cost of living is going up. The cost of a carton of milk, a loaf of bread, it's going up. And anything we can do to help our community, our villages, our businesses, where we want to be there to do that. And, my door is always open for that. And, I can tell you that I am speaking to businesses all the time. I am speaking to villages that are in my district all the time to try to help them if they have a question or they need something, and vice versa. I maintain wonderful relationships with my partners in government because this is the way we can all function in an appropriate way. And we're certainly open to helping villages or any other entity with respect to grants. And all someone has to do is reach out to my office, and we'll certainly do our best to try to connect them with those grants.
All right. The other major question, which is housing. The governor has, number one, there is a shortage of 800,000. You talked about affordability. There's a shortage of 800,000 housing units in New York. This has helped drive up, this has driven up rents and the cost of homes in Nassau County, in New York City. I think the average apartment in New York City is $4,000. Out here, the housing prices are so high that the children of people who live here, the young adults, young families, cannot afford to live here. They can't buy a home. So the governor came out with a program with the accessory dwelling units, which are being done in other parts of the country, and then came up with goals for each of the communities for a 3% growth in housing units in all these areas. And if there wasn't an effort, if the local government didn't come up with the answer, then the state might step in. So now everybody in town in North Hempstead, Democrat and Republican, opposed the governor's plan. So, and let me just add that 3%, a lot of that had to do with the recommendation was transit-oriented housing by the train stations, as is actually being done in Mineola. So where are you with housing? Is there a responsibility in terms of affordability? Why not? What is going to propel people? What is propel local governments to do it? I'll two other things to throw out.
Sure.
Nassau County has the highest percentage of single-family homes outside of Suffolk County and some small town in Pennsylvania, in the metropolitan area.
Yes. And
the population of Nassau County has remained the same since 1960, virtually the same, about 95,000 difference. So is there any responsibility should there be more housing built? And if so, the argument was that local officials are in the best position to do it. But they've had 60 years to do it in Nassau County, and they haven't. So what's your solution to make changes? Or, as has been suggested, are we full up? There's no room for anyone else, and let's keep the status quo, even though the housing prices are so high.
Well, Steve, you're absolutely right. My fellow council members and I did all oppose the housing plan. We all signed a letter that we sent to the governor relating to this. This all-in-one plan, I believe had flaws. I think that the control should be with the local municipalities, the local authorities. The local municipalities and authorities know the communities best, and I think it's more suited for for these local entities. I believe that an incentive-based program is something that is worthwhile, because the local communities and the local officials that believe that in the particular area that it is workable, then they're able to achieve those incentives. But myself, you said, we all agreed on this. We all signed a letter against this, and local control with incentives to the local authorities is the way to go. Look, in general, we do need more.
Let me just interject. It is, you've got 60 years of history that says it's not the way to go. That there is an incentive. Everyone who lives here, who has a home, the value of their home is higher when there is less housing, with scarcity. That's basic economics, and that's what's happened. Housing prices have gone up as demand has gone there. So you basically have elected officials, but there's a very strong incentive called being reelected to opposing housing in the community. So what's going to change? There's 60 years that says this is not going to be done in this area. What is going to happen to allow that to happen?
Listen, I appreciate the question, and listen, we really need to look at this carefully. And it's not, there's no one-word answer here. This is not a quick response. But I really do believe control within the local government, the local officials, is the most effective way, with incentives, so that the local communities can move forward in instances in which it's appropriate. I believe that's the way to go. It's not just an answer for the purpose of this conversation that we're having, but I do believe we need to continue to look into this, look into sources for increased housing for seniors, and for young professionals and things of that.
The town supervisor suggested a master plan, starting to develop a master plan. One of the things that we hear, that we've heard, we've done a couple of town halls on the subject, and even, Ed Mangano, when he was county executive, was in favor of transit-oriented housing. What we hear from developers and architects and property owners is they don't want to go in. They want areas rezoned so that, preferably maybe in the downtown, so that they know what they're getting into. They know that if they meet the requirements of the zoning, that they'll get approved. Not that they have to go on what we hear, and it kind of stops these guys. They said this doesn't work for them. They said we're going to do this on a case-by-case basis, but that doesn't work for them, because that's going to increase their cost, because now they have to go through that variance, and very often there's going to be resident opposition. Would you be in favor of a plan that would rezone areas that would allow for mixed use, where you'd have retail on the ground floor and apartments that go up two or three floors?
Listen, I understand the need and what you're asking about, but I still think that things need to be looked at on a case-by-case situation. I think that a one-size-fits-all approach is very difficult, and sometimes in that kind of approach, things get lost in the shuffle. So I do believe that a case-by-case understanding and a case-by-case review is needed. I'm concerned that in that mass sweep, so to speak, that things will get lost.
Okay. Housing of migrants is obviously a big issue. New York City has more than 100,000 migrants. We have a broken immigration system that says if you are seeking asylum, and this is international law and U.S. law, you have the right to enter the United States. However, you can't work for 6 months. To get working permits. So it's a burn when you take people in. New York City has maybe 60,000 people in the shelter. Outside of New York, there's been no assistance to the city with this. Should Nassau County, the town of North Hempstead, take in some of the migrants and allow and give them a home? These are people that are here legally, fleeing country, sometimes at great risk, walking thousands of miles to get to the Mexican border or the Mexican-U.S. border. What should we do? Is there any responsibility for the town of North Hempstead or Nassau County to take in some of these people?
You know, I have serious concerns about the migrant situation, and I'm very concerned that the effect of this on our communities here in Nassau County and in the town of North Hempstead. I'm concerned for the safety, health, and welfare of our residents, and I think that so far what has been occurring in New York City is. It's just an unfortunate situation. I understand that, I understand that we are, that we have to, have compassion and understanding with respect to everyone. But I have serious concerns about the health, safety, and welfare of our residents of Nassau County and the town of North Hempstead. And I think we need to speak to our federal partners, our federal agencies, and try to come up with a better plan. I have serious concerns about the effects this can have on North Hempstead and the town and Nassau County. And I'm not happy with the current situation at all.
Well, I don't think anybody's happy with the current situation.
But we need to, yeah, but we need to speak to our federal agencies and our federal counterparts to come up with a better solution. What we're talking about now can have serious health, safety, and welfare effects on our residents here in North Hempstead and in Nassau County.
All right, congestion pricing. New York City is planning on, and the MTA is planning on going ahead and putting in tolling in basically from 59th Street south to reduce traffic congestion in the city and also pollution. What is your, do you think New York City has a right to do this, or are you against this? What's your feeling on congestion pricing? As a representative of North Hempstead, New York City hasn't asked my opinion on this or anything of that nature. But for a long time, I did commute to New York City, and I have family members that have commuted and that are commuting. So I understand the nature of this. And I think congestion taxing or congestion pricing is something that we need to look at very carefully. I have concerns about it, and I'd like to see more details of the plans and so forth about it. But I have serious concerns. I mean, it's hard enough to commute from Long Island to commute to New York City, and then to have to deal with other congestion type pricing, I think is a lot to deal with. I think we all saw that, whether it's working via video or video conferencing or remotely, we saw what happened during the pandemic. And I have concerns that congestion pricing or congestion taxing will result in more people working remotely, and
in this economy that we're in now, the cost of living is going up and up, and I am very concerned about it. I'm mindful of why the New York City would want to do it, but I'd like to see the plans relating to it. But I have serious concerns because there are some people that won't be able to afford to commute to their jobs. To deal with all of this. So I have serious concern with it, although I've not seen any particular plans on it, but I would certainly welcome the review of that. But I have very, severe concerns about that.
All right. The congestion in Nassau County, because the congestion actually doesn't start at the Midtown Tunnel or the Queensboro Bridge for us. It starts around, Glen Cove Road is a good start. Your hunting grounds. You're from East Hills.
Yes.
You get onto the LIE in the morning, or you're heading back in the afternoon. And it's not just in the city, it's when you're driving on the highways in Nassau County. If I want to get to Great Neck from Roslyn on Glen Cove Road in the middle of the village of Great Neck Plaza,
right,
in the morning it's going to take me a half hour.
Yeah, look, we have.
So what do you do? What is the answer for just residents who are not going into the city, people who are not commuters, but are just people who are here? How do we address the congestion that you face every day?
Listen, congestion is a big problem for us. I mean, and you're right. There is in certain pockets, there is a lot of traffic, whether it's Glen Cove Road or Middle Neck Road or Northern Boulevard. I mean, I think we've all experienced it, depending upon the time of the day or if there's an accident or what have you. I think we have to do better. I think we have to look at ways to try to alleviate some of that congestion, whether it's widening roads or adding lanes or the timing of traffic lights. This is not a short-term fix. We really need something that's more substantial to try to do better with this. Certainly when you're sitting on Northern Boulevard.
Is that the federal government, the state government, the county government, the town government?
So as roads in our area are divided, into who's responsible for the upkeep relating to the roads. For instance, Glen Cove Road is a Nassau County road. Willis Avenue is a Nassau County road, whereas Northern Boulevard is a state road. And then you have some of the local roads, whether it's some of the local roads that run within the villages, which are the town and North Hempstead roads. I think that it's not just one of the roads, it's all the roads. And we have to figure out a way to get better with it. I mean, our area certainly we have a lot of people. And as everyone there are many cars. And, with the amount of cars that we have in this area, it's certainly it's taking its toll on the roads and causing this traffic. But I think this is something that when I say we, I think that whether it's federal, state, local, this is something that we all have to work together to try to fix. I don't think this is just a one-off with one of the municipalities. I think we all have to do this. And it's my hope that we can do this. I was speaking with former Congressman Tom Suozzi recently, and we were talking about traffic going on Glen Cove Road and Northern Boulevard and down and into Great Neck as well. We were talking about that. We're talking about what could be done, whether it be widening corners or different things to try to come up with solutions. But I think this is not just a one-off, and we really need to meet with our partners in government to try to work together to do this.
All right. One other question before my final question, the penultimate question. The town passed the resolution to conduct an air traffic study to address the airplane issue in your district. And what can be done and what are you doing?
So,
We've heard from people, forget about it. This is the FAA is going to be in charge, and there's little or nothing you can do. So those planes flying overhead, you're going to have to live with.
okay, so recently I put forth a resolution to authorize funding for something called a flight plan analysis. This would be the first step in moving forward with potential litigation with the FAA and the federal government. This flight plan analysis would allow us to submit documentation to the federal government and show that there's not equitable distribution of the planes that are flying over our communities here in the town of North Hempstead. You know, it's not just Roslyn or Great Neck or Mineola or Albertson or Port Washington. It's everywhere. And this flight plan analysis is designed so that it'll document what is occurring now. I mean, if you go back to prior to the pandemic, the frequency of the flights over our communities were very high. And then the pandemic happened, and with the help of Tom Suozzi and Senator Schumer, things got better. But now we're back to pre-pandemic levels. And that was why I put forth this resolution. Recently, Mayor Colvins from the Incorporated Village of East Hills and I attended a meeting where a representative of Senator Gillibrand's office was there, and we look forward to working with them to try to move forward with this. We're in the process of, my office is in the process of trying to set up a meeting with Senator Schumer's office as well, for myself and the mayor of the Village of East Hills. And but we just commenced this flight plan analysis, and it's the first step. And I'm hopeful in the coming months, when we have that result, we can take this result to the federal government, and if we have to, commence litigation. But certainly the first step in this now is this flight plan analysis. And clearly, from all of our residents, you can see that there is not an equitable distribution of the planes flying overhead. Look, I've been at many functions. I was at a function at Herrick's not too long ago, and I was standing between the football field and the baseball field. And when I tell you, every 3 minutes there was another plane flying over us, that to the point that I was reading the numbers on the planes, and it happens to be on that field. The field, the field is sort of in a hill, so you're lower than ground level in a couple spots, and you still could read the numbers. Look, I was at the Incorporated Village of East Hills fireworks night on July 3rd, and I can tell you that the planes were flying through the fireworks. Steve, picture this, okay? Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA is playing, and the plane is flying through the fireworks. We're all looking up in horror, afraid that the plane will be shot down or come down. Okay, now Lee Greenwood's Proud to Be an American plays. Another plane goes through the fireworks. Katy Perry, Bon Jovi's Living on a Prayer. I mean, I could go through the whole set list with you. Every song, I'm not joking. Every song, there was another plane. Delta, FedEx, whatever, you could read it. I was sitting there with Councilwoman Lurvy and Assemblywoman Saletti, and we were all looking up in horror. We were afraid that the fireworks would impact these planes. And I know I'm naming songs, and I'm not trying to make light of it, but each song there would be another plane, and it was really. This is what it sort of put me over the edge, because I just, if you were there and you saw this, it's not something you could forget. It was that blatant. And we have residents submitted pictures of this. I mean, this was unbelievable. I'm telling you, the fireworks were surrounding these planes, and there'd be another song, and there it is. It was just hard to believe that every song there was another plane. Now, it's not, we need to do better with this, and we need the federal government to be our partner in this. And the only way to do that is this flight plan analysis. And I want you to know that, so I put this flight plan analysis forward, and it passed unanimously. But I will tell you that we had opposition from the Republicans on this. We had opposition from the supervisor, Brandon Duffy, who was at the meeting. He will tell you that the supervisor, he can tell you that the supervisor was essentially speaking out against this, but then eventually voted for it. Brandon was there. He could tell you. He could tell you exactly what her words were prior to her vote. So I will tell you, but this is something that's not about Democrats or Republicans. This isn't about Mineola or East Hills or East Williston or Albertson or Great Neck or Port Washington. Pick a place in North Hempstead. It's about all of us collectively. It needs to be equitable. And to stand on the field in Herrick's and experience this, to be in Port Washington to experience this, to be in Mineola near the train station, and to have plane after plane after plane, it's unbelievable. Look, I can tell you that I've been all over the town, and it's not equitable in North Hempstead and other areas of Nassau County. It's not about one particular area in North Hempstead. It's about all of Nassau County, and there's not an equitable distribution of the flights that are going over us, and this is a real problem. All of North Hempstead is our locale. I mean, look, I live in a certain location. You live in a certain location. I have a district. Marianne Del Monte has a district. Currently, Veronica Lurvy has a district. But it's not about our districts. This is about the entire town of North Hempstead. And there's not equitable distribution with North Hempstead and other areas of Nassau County. And there needs to be equitable distribution. That's what we need. We're only asking for equitable distribution. And this is the point that was made to Senator Gillibrand's office. And this is the point that will be made to Senator Schumer's office. Hopefully we'll have that meeting date set up soon. I can tell you in the past, Senator Schumer's office has been wonderful and has been very responsive with us. So I look forward to us all having that meeting. And we have, but we're waiting for the results of this flight plan analysis.
Okay. Final question. You are, now this would be you're running every 2 years. We're now looking at your 8th term or your 7th?
It's every 4 years. So I started in,
okay.
I started in 2014. I was appointed after Tom Dwyer resigned. I served for a year in 2014, then ran a special election to finish out the rest of Tom Dwyer's term. Then I ran for a full term in 2015, and then I ran for a full term in 2019. So I've been. So
this is your 4th term?
So it's my 4th. It's my 3rd full election, but I started Tom Dwyer.
That was your 3.5 terms.
Something like that.
So you're running again.
I had more hair when I started.
You're running against Edward Scott, and the question that we would have is, why should voters vote for you rather than Edward Scott?
Okay. Well, pretty much everything that I've said, but listen, I'm fiscally responsible. I believe that we have to maintain the quality of life and the services for our residents. Look, I've done a lot of good things when I've been in office. Recently, I haven't mentioned this so far in this interview, we've provided senior veteran parking at town parks based on my resolution at town parks for veterans. We're going to try to extend this to other localities within North Hempstead in the next year. We've done a lot of good things, and I believe that if you look at my history, whether it's repairs to Camera Park, to Clark Garden, whether it's Donald Street Park, whether it's backpack giveaways, or whether it's Narcan trainings or coat drives or doing a 5% tax cut last year. These are all things that have benefited the community, and I will continue to do that. Listen, I've been in office a while, as we just said. In my tenure in North Hempstead, each time I've ran, I've been endorsed by Tom Swazi, Tom DiNapoli, Judy Bosworth, Chuck Levane, Gina Stiletti, every time, to just name a few. I'm currently endorsed by the Long Island Federation of Labor, Planned Parenthood, local 338. I'm also endorsed by I'm also endorsed by Planned Parenthood as well. And there are more endorsements coming. And all I have to tell you is that I work for the community, and I'm available to the community at all times. I don't do this job because I need to do this job. I don't do it for the money. I do this job to help people. This is a job that it's my honor and my privilege to serve in this capacity. And it has been in my honor and privilege to do this. Listen, I recognize that in government, we can't all have the same opinion at times, but we can all respectfully disagree. But I believe it is an honor and a privilege to serve the town of North Hempstead, and it would be my pleasure to continue to do this. As I mentioned, I'm committing to a tax cut for this year, but I need to review the budget to make some more sense out of it before we can come up with any specifics. But I'm committed to a tax cut for this year. Look at my record, a AAA bond rating all these years, and we have to also maintain services. Look at Project Independence. This is something that has been around for a while. Well, we made it better. We made it better. We have rides to doctors and to supermarkets for our seniors. We're getting our seniors out there. We don't want to have them to be cooped up in their houses. We want them out at events and so forth. But we can listen. We need to do more, and I think that in the town of North Hempstead we have many things coming, and I look forward to them in the future. And I think my background. I attended Emory University, graduated with a Bachelor of Arts. I went to New York Law School, graduated with a Juris Doctor. I'm admitted to practice law in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and Washington, D.C. I'm on the board of directors of the New York Law School Alumni Board. I'm on the board of directors of the Roslyn Little League. I'm on the board of directors of the Roslyn Booster Basketball League. I'm a member of the Nassau County Bar Association, and I am in this community, and I am part of this community, and I look forward to representing this community to the best of my knowledge and to the best that I can do, going forward. And it has been an honor and a privilege to represent the town of North Hempstead, District 2.
Well, I'd like to thank again our sponsor, Northwell Health, for sponsoring today's event, and thank Council Member Peter Zuckerman, town of North Hempstead, for taking the time and sitting with us. A recording of today's discussion can be found on the island360.com website, our Facebook page, and our YouTube channel. We're going to be sending out emails. We'll have it on our website. A story about today's interview will appear in the 6 Blank Slate Media newspapers next week. My thanks to Brandon Duffy, once again, our reporter who helped run the Zoom session. And my thanks again for North Hempstead Council Member Peter Zuckerman for sitting down with us and sharing his views. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks.